Hello JOA parents, this is a short video which we thought we'd make with particularly Year 7 parents in mind, but certainly not only Year 7 parents, but thinking about best ways of helping your sons and daughters with their homework. Real challenge of coming to secondary school, lots and lots of different subjects, will get homework which grows during their time with us, and therefore wanting to find ways so that you feel that you can support them as well as possible. Worth emphasising purpose of homework. We feel particularly at Key Stage 3, not only does it kind of help students to kind of get more involved in their subjects and enjoy them more, we also think of course it's a great and indeed crucial preparation for when they go further on at the school. And of course as they get into Key Stage 4, Key Stage 5, actually being able to do real genuine independent study is such a crucial skill and something which we're really determined for them all to kind of develop. With that in mind, as you can see here, what we've got is an example of one of our Key Stage 3 homework timetables. What we try to do is to try and guarantee that students get homework from particular subjects across the 2-week timetable on particular evenings. And so therefore they'll know if it's week 1, Monday for instance, that will be their night in a particular tutor group for geography. Or it might be on a week 2 Friday they get history, but you will know and they will know what to expect and when. So I think that's certainly something which we'd ask you to bear in mind all the time, and I'll come back to the homework timetable in a minute. Let's talk about ways of getting it right, and some of the ideas shown behind me are kind of key to that. Definitely routine. Certainly would make sense to us that they would do their homework for a particular subject on the night that they get it, rather leave it for a day or two, and as the homework timetable works in that way, it should really allow them to make sure that they're able to do just maybe 1 or 2 pieces a night regularly. It's important that the environment is right for how they do that. I'm particularly thinking about a quiet space, an appropriate space where they've got enough learning materials around them in terms of their pens and pencils and so on, and also somewhere where they won't get interrupted, but at the same time they won't feel they can sneakily listen to music or indeed watch videos and lose sense of where they are. I think thirdly what's key is the importance of rewarding after a bit of a tough day at school, to actually then go home and do a little bit of real key independent study as well is a challenge, and therefore any sort of sense of rewarding and supporting in that way I think is really, really important. What if it goes wrong, however? I think these are the things which I want people to support parents with in terms of advice here. It usually goes wrong in 2 ways. The first way is that when students get home, they look back in their planner and they're not clear on what they have to do with a particular task. They've not written it down clearly, and therefore they're unclear on what to do, and therefore in terms of supporting it becomes really difficult. Okay. If that happens, ways around it immediately include of course contacting the teacher, and use the email address shown behind me here as a way of contacting the office, and then that will then pass the email to the right teacher. And if you feel there's not enough time to do that and the student still doesn't know what to do, then a note which they can give to their teacher which clearly explains this, really important. I'll come back to that whole thing about contacting their teachers I think in a moment as well. However, I think through that discussion too, it's important for them to understand, you working with them, why they might not have got that information written down properly in the first place. Were they rushing because they were trying to get off to break? Did they simply feel that they didn't have enough time? Were they unclear from the very first instance what they needed to do? Because only through that will they become clear about why it went wrong, and also therefore that's something that you can feed back to us, particularly by their form tutors if it seems to be happening a lot. I think another key area therefore in relation to that as well is if they simply can't do what's set. They know what to do, but they're really unable to do the task. My advice to you would be to not agonise over it. If it simply is something that they're finding too hard to do, then again, stopping them where they are, and you yourself being able to write a note to their tutor or to their teacher which explains that they tried this task but for whatever reason were unable to do it. For both those things though, I think there's something central here, which is if they're not clear what to do, and secondly if they can't do what they need to do, it shouldn't be a reason for them not to be doing some form of homework anyway. And therefore it might be reading for 20 minutes. It might be some other written task which might be kind of useful. It certainly might involve some reflection on the work that they've done in school that day, but just something so it feels that actually, even though they might not have been able to do this task or unclear on the task, that they would be able still to do homework. And I think that's really important in terms of the discipline and the experience of homework, which we think is so key to their long-term success in school. I hope you found that useful. As always, the school is here to help, so if you are concerned at any time, don't hesitate to get in touch with us. Again, form tutors are almost always the right port of call. If it's a specific subject issue, use the email address and contact the individual subject teacher involved. Thanks for listening.